So should I get started? Okay. Is anybody here want to share why they came today, or what was interesting about the description of this workshop, or you just wanted to get out on a Tuesday? Anything that you're hoping that I'll cover, or you're excited to hear about? Everything on both sides? Okay, awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here today, and I thank you so much. There are a million things you could have done today, and I appreciate being able to be with you today. Before we get started, I just want to say that I'm a health coach. I'm not a doctor. I don't play it on TV. So whatever I discuss with you today is for informational purposes and for the purposes of providing just education, and not for providing medical advice or giving a medical opinion. So I'm hoping that what you learned today will help you feel empowered and think positively and proactively about your health. And I hope this will allow you to take ownership of your health. I'd like you to walk away with at least one new healthy tip, idea, or something that gives you encouragement to try something new. It's going to be flu season. It's going to be, this or that season, but all of these things can be practiced all year long. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have two daughters. One is 18, the other one is 20. They're both in college. The 20-year-old was born with hydronephrosis, which is kidney reflux. So from the time she was, from the time she was 4 weeks old, the doctors put her on prophylactic antibiotics to prevent her from getting kidney infections. And it didn't work. She still had a breakthrough infection from E. coli, and then so she was on another antibiotic, and then at 13 months old, she had surgery. While in the hospital, she got C. diff, was on another antibiotic. Eventually, she developed life-threatening food allergies because while her immune system was being formed, she was on all these antibiotics. And we were that EpiPen family. I was vigilant about keeping her safe from the things she was allergic to, because if she had a morsel of dairy on her tongue, we were in the emergency room. Then she was, so I started a business called Your Food Allergy Coach, and I was working with parents of children who had food allergies to help them learn food allergy etiquette. I worked with preschools and religious schools on what to do in an emergency situation and how to work in the classroom. When she was 10, we started working with a nutrition and health coach, and we were doing a desensitization process, which meant that I was spoon feeding her small increasing amounts of the things she was allergic to, while professionally I was preaching about avoidance to the allergy community, and it was a conflict of interest. So I went back to school for health coaching, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, to learn how diet and lifestyle changes really affect your health, and they do. Because it was amazing. In 2 years, my daughter could eat the things that used to put her in the emergency room. And that wasn't enough for me. I went to the School of Applied Functional Medicine to learn more about the science behind why these changes in your body are happening from the changes in your diet and lifestyle. Now I work with individuals who are frustrated with their health to help them learn how to live in their bodies. My clients have autoimmune disease, insulin resistance, rheumatoid arthritis, hypothyroid, all kinds of things. But I help them to live normal lives, and everyone's different. Functional medicine focuses on the root causes of disease. It minimizes what's harmful, maximize raw materials the body needs to function and thrive, and prioritize an environment for healing. And the average American isn't good at doing that. So the amazing thing is how many of these new things are changeable with simple, everyday life shifts and life choices. And people work with me because they're frustrated with the traditional medical community. They've been to the doctor says, you're normal, there's nothing wrong with you, you're just getting older, you just need to lose some weight, but they're not trained in nutrition. Or people also come to me because they've seen someone who they love who has suffered and they don't want it to happen to them. And I do a lot of puzzle piecing and a lot of detective work. I already asked you why you are here today. I would really like for this to be interactive. Please feel free to ask questions. I don't want to be the only one talking. I'm here for you. So if you have a question, just let me know. Okay? So today we're going to talk about balancing your immune system, which I talked about in the beginning, because you don't want to boost it. You just want it to be in balance. And the body in all areas needs to be in balance. We're going to go through the 6 basic things: breathing, nutrient-dense diet. We'll talk a little bit about nutrients from supplements, sleep, which is so important for the body to heal, a long, deep sleep, adequate movement, exercise, and proper hydration. When the immune system is compromised, even the most common harmless infection can become a serious threat. Too much of an immune response is just as bad as not enough. Like you could be underreactive or overreactive. Would it be okay with you if we did a breathing exercise? Okay. So I have 2 breathing exercises. One is a little more basic. It's called belly breathing or diaphragmic breathing. And the second one is the 4-7-8. So let's do the belly breathing or the diaphragmic breathing first. So you want to be sitting or lying down in a comfortable position. And is anybody uncomfortable? They need to put their feet up or anything. So you want to place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And you want to take 2 to 4 seconds of breath through your nose. And then you want to blow out of your mouth like you're blowing out a candle. But you want the breath to come from your diaphragm, which is why it's called diaphragmic breathing, and not from your chest, right? You want it to come from your abdomen. So we'll do this a couple times. In for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and out for 4. Like you're blowing out a candle. And this is also called box breathing because it could go in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, stop for 4. Let's do it one more time. So that's the 4 count. And then we'll just try the 4-7-8 once, if that's okay for you. And what we're doing is we're trying to get the body to go into parasympathetic mode, because the body can be in sympathetic dominance, which is that fight or flight mode. But we want you to be in parasympathetic dominance, which is when you rest and digest, right? So the 4-7-8 is in for 4, hold for 7. 7 is the still breath. And then out for 8, which means you're breathing out twice as many seconds as in. So it's a little more complicated. So again, from your abdomen, in for 4, hold for 7, and out for 8. So in for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then out for 8. One more time. I'll do it one more time. Are we good? One more time. Okay, in for 4, One. And then out. Okay, so this is putting you in parasympathetic mode. It's reducing your cortisol levels. It's improving our autonomous nervous system mode. So this is the system the body uses behind the scenes. And it lowers our blood pressure. It reduces physical and mental stress. And it improves blood flow to the arteries. So that's just a basic.
How many times?
It's a practice. So the more you do anything, the better you get at it. Just like if you're doing yoga or meditation. Mm-hmm. So if you can do it for 5 minutes in the morning, that's great. But if you can only do it for 1 minute, if you only breathe a couple of times, that's fine. The important thing is for you to be able to do it if you're stressed so that you can go to that place and just lower your cortisol a little bit. Does that help? Yeah, it's a practice. Right, absolutely. It's very basic. And I also teach a tapping class, which is a stress reduction technique. It's a little more complicated, but you're absolutely right. Breathing is the most basic. I mean, if you can just listen to your own breath, it's very helpful in knowing what's going on in your body, addressing any increase in stress, and allowing you to reduce stress. Absolutely. Just want to talk briefly about sugar before we get into the nutrient-dense diet. Does anybody know what the problem with sugar is? Do you know why sugar might be a problem for your body?
Diabetes.
It could cause insulin resistance or diabetes. Absolutely. Anybody else? Yes. So it gives you energy for about 2 hours, and then you have that fall in energy. So it's not a sustainable way to create energy. So sugar gives you that dopamine hit. And that dopamine hit is that pleasure neurotransmitter. It makes you feel good, right? So there could be you could be emotionally stressed or depressed or lonely, and you go for like those cookies or that pie. And what it does is it increases the calories in your diet, and it gives you more fat, and it's not the right kind of energy. You're much better off eating protein for energy. You can eat other things like fruits and vegetables, and they're much healthier. Sugar is a very unhealthy habit. It creates all these behaviors that people aren't proud of. And we talked about dopamine. The body is hardwired to seek out behaviors that release dopamine, the pleasure neurotransmitter. So nutrient-dense foods reduce stress, and folate can be used to help with that feel-good brain chemical. Poor health attracts disease, and food matters a lot. So we have to think about when you're eating something, are you feeding your hunger or are you feeding your emotions? Why do we eat? Does anybody know why we eat in the first place? Could be because you're hungry. How do you know you're hungry? Does your stomach gurgle?
No.
Do you get water in your mouth, like saliva? Does your saliva increase?
No.
What happens? So there are a lot of reasons we eat. Some of them are social. Do you ever like have a beer or a cup of coffee or a cup of tea with a friend because it's social? Sometimes we eat for emotional reasons. Sometimes we eat because we're hungry. But evolutionarily, that's a word, we eat for nutrients. And if you can separate out the reason you eat, like if you're eating a box of cookies, why are you eating those cookies? Is that an emotional eating? When I taught about food allergies, I would teach people, you can eat on your own before you go to a party or a gathering so that you can feel like you're safe. Because you can separate the social from the actual eating part, right? You don't have to eat when you're in a social gathering, but that happens to be a lot of social gatherings include food, right? And it's, it's better said than done. It's about eating on purpose and thinking about it, which is why we're going to go on to talk a little bit more about specific omega-3 fats. So there's omega-6 and omega-3. Most of the time, we're eating an omega-6 diet. We eat a lot of things from a box or a bag or a package. Those are processed foods, and they have a lot of omega-6 fats in them. We want to be able to balance the things that are omega-6 and omega-3. It's not that omega-3 fats are better for you. It's just that we eat so many more omega-6 fats that we need to balance it with omega-3 so that we're not having an inflammatory thing going on in our body. So soy, corn, processed foods, nuts, seeds, meat, poultry, fish, and eggs are high in omega-6 fats. Omega-3s help keep the system healthy, and they lower the risk of heart disease in adults. So here are omega-3s, fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, Arctic char, and trout. Eggs. So there are different kinds of eggs. People get confused. The best are the organic, free range. They have more nutrients. If a chicken is outside in the sun, it's going to have, eating like real grass, it's going to have more nutrients in its eggs than a chicken that's inside, crowded with a whole bunch of other chickens and fed like whatever they give them. Does that make sense? Okay, so flaxseed and flax oil also have omega-3s. Walnuts, soybeans, tofu, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil. Some margarines, juices, and fruits and yogurts have omega-3s. I just want to tell you guys like a little story. I know people remember stories more than they remember all the facts that I'm rattling off. I was in Iceland with my family in 2019. And we were on this ship. It wasn't a ship. We were on like a day cruise with these marine biologists. And I think we were on a whale watch. We were cruising around in Iceland. It was in the summer. And the marine biologists, they had no idea I was a health coach. And they had no idea that I preach about nutrient-dense diet and nutrient-dense food. And they came out and said, unprompted, you really have to be careful about the fish you eat because even the wild fish get infected by the farm-raised fish. And apparently the farm-raised fish have sea lice. They're sick and they're swimming around like half dead. And the point is, nothing is perfect. You can't be perfect. Think of yourself as 100% human. Even if you tried to be perfect, you might be 80% doing the right thing and 20% being yourself, right? That's the 80-20 rule. So it's important for our bodies to have the best nutrients available, but give yourself a break sometimes. And, I could be preaching all this stuff, but you also have to give yourself a break. Nothing's perfect, not even the fish in Iceland. So you take that into consideration if you're going out to dinner. What are you eating? Oh, a couple of ideas for habit changes. I think I missed this slide. So, a simple tip to satisfy a sweet tooth for habit changes. You can brush your teeth after dinner so that you don't have that need for a sweet tooth. You can go in another room so you're not in the kitchen. Does anybody do any of these things? Well, if after dinner you feel like you need some sugar, what are some of the things you do to stop yourself?
I'm going to say,
Stay out of the kitchen.
huh?
You stay out of the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen, yeah.
That's smart. Anybody else have something that they do to brushing your teeth after dinner? Because it kind of cuts down on that craving. Yeah.
I don't feel my meal is complete unless I have some type of dessert.
Me too.
So can I offer a tip?
Please.
Okay. This is what I tell my clients. Take a banana, open it up so that the peel's not on it, and slice it. And then put the banana slices in the freezer. When you have a need for something sweet, take one of the banana slices and put it in your mouth when it's frozen. You can suck on it.
A lot of sugar in banana.
That's a good idea.
But well, I don't know. Everybody's different. Like I said, don't listen to me. Always listen to your doctor. But what else would you eat? So it's an option. And banana is a fruit. And if it's sliced already and you're sucking on it, it's frozen. You're not getting as much sugar as you would eating a whole banana. Because we have a habit of shoving the whole banana in our mouth, right? Like it's a car garage, a fruit garage. So, yeah, it's just an idea. So it takes 20 minutes for the brain, for the stomach to signal to the brain that you're full. So if you stop eating for about 20 or 30 minutes, you're not going to want it anymore because your body's catching up, right? The gut and the brain are connected through the vagus nerve. If your brain doesn't know that you're full, you're going to keep eating. But if you're aware that there's a disconnect, that you need 20 minutes to catch up, then maybe you won't eat dessert. If you I've heard two trains of thought. One is if you eat dessert right after dinner, you won't eat as much because you're full. And the other train of thought is if you wait 20 minutes, you won't want it. Depends what kind of person you are. Some people know they're full and they stop, and some people don't know they're full and they need that extra push. Yes, I teach, I got all mixed up here. I teach eating hygiene, and eating slow is one of the key points. Eat slow, savor what's going on in your meal, put everything else away and focus on what you're smelling, what you're eating, appreciate the food that's on your plate. It makes a big difference. I'm salivating right now just thinking about it. But it makes a big difference to have that eating hygiene pattern. Sit back, relax. Too many people, maybe not you, but too many people are eating in the car, on the way to an appointment, or they're rushing because they need to be somewhere. That all affects your digestion. And as we age, our stomach acid decreases, and our stomach acid is what separates the nutrients from the amino acids, and it also signals the pancreas to create digestive enzymes. So if you're slowing down, you're allowing that digestive process to happen. It makes a whole new statement about family style, right? If you have to go to the stove or another place in the kitchen to get enough, or by the time you get up, you're ready to put the leftovers into a container. That's a good one. That's a good one. Any other comments, questions? I just want to talk about antioxidants. Sometimes we're like a big Vermont family. We like to ski. And we always have like a gallon of Vermont maple syrup in the refrigerator. I never use the white sugar. But a raw organic honey, using those things instead of, but it still makes you, I would say sugar, it definitely gives you that dopamine hit, makes you feel good. Some people cook without it. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. I would just say sometimes I eat. You eat, and after you eat, sometimes you feel hungry and sometimes you don't feel hungry. Well, let's break it down. If you're not feeling hungry, are you emotionally fulfilled? If you're feeling hungry, are you thinking about something that you need to be fed emotionally? Is there a difference between emotional and nutritious eating? Or maybe you have extra time, or maybe you didn't eat enough earlier in the day or the night before. I don't know. We would have to break it down, and we'd have to talk about, and it could be any number of reasons. But it's great that you notice that. Noticing that is a really big key in determining why. Does that make sense? Okay. So antioxidants neutralize free radicals. They give up their electrons, and they turn as an off switch for free radicals, and it helps break the chain reaction to other molecules. So antioxidants reflect a chemical property rather than a specific nutritional property. So antioxidants help produce the stress-fighting chemical dopamine, and it boosts serotonin to help with sleeping, eating, and digestion. So I want to talk about antioxidants. Does anybody know what antioxidants are up there? Like what foods have antioxidants? Pomegranate. Blueberries. What did you say? Grapefruit. Yeah. Yeah. Lemon. Yep. Tomatoes, kale, cacao. I brought my chocolate because, there are many different kinds of chocolate. These are both brands of dark organic chocolate. I teach a chocolate tasting workshop, which is really good. But nutrient-dense foods have less sugar. So this is 70% cacao, and like a Hershey's bar might be a lot. If it's 70% cacao, that means it's 30% sugar. So if you look at if you compare them, this has, no, I can't even read it, 6 grams of sugar for half the bar. If you look at a Hershey's bar, think about how many grams of sugar in it. So the more sugar, the less real nutrients. So blueberries apples, onions, green tea, berries, fruits, nuts, chocolate, vegetables are the most high antioxidant values. Has anybody ever heard of an Indian gooseberry? Apparently, Indian gooseberries have the highest antioxidant value. I've never seen one in the supermarket, but blueberries are definitely number two. They're the number two nutrient-dense food in the world and contain large level of a broad range of antioxidants, and they're anti-inflammatories. They're best if they're organic, so they don't have all those pesticides and chemicals on them. But we have to pick and choose, right? Beverages that have the most were unprocessed tea leaves, tea powders, and coffee beans. Vitamin C. Obviously, strawberries have vitamin C. Anything else that you know has vitamin C in it by eating in the food? Citruses, but also peppers, broccoli, oranges, strawberries. Strawberries are super dense with vitamin C. It's good for building and repair body's tissue. It also helps to fight and free radical damage. It promotes healthy eye function, and I read that it prevents facial wrinkles. If anybody wants the article, I'm happy to send you, but it's NCBI PubMed. Zinc. That was funny. It's never too late. Zinc is a mineral found in most cells in the body. It helps the immune system fight off bacteria and viruses. It protects proteins, DNA, and genetic material in all cells. It maintains a healthy immune system. And it's what gives you that sense of taste and smell. It's good for wound healing, and it makes DNA. Zinc and copper compete for the same receptors in cells. So if somebody is on a plant-based diet and they're only eating like a lot of vegetables, zinc might be missing in a completely plant-based diet. So that needs to be taken into consideration because it's found in red meat, pumpkin seeds, nuts, oysters, poultry beans, seafood, whole grains, and dairy products. Vitamin D fights infections in two ways. Do I need to move over? Some of the slides have my notes and some don't. It enhances our immune defenses and it bolsters the resilience of our tissues and organs. It prevents us from being infected altogether and reduces the severity of any infection that does take hold. Every immune cell in our body has vitamin D receptors and responds to its signals. So it suppresses inflammation, it promotes immune tolerance, and it maintains proper function of immune cells. So I like this. We've transitioned from a people of the sun to a people of the cubicle. Because people are inside sitting on the couch a lot, or they're in their desk or whatever. And we get vitamin D from the sun. And this time of year in New England, I tell my clients, if you're naked on a ski slope, you're not getting vitamin D because the access of the sun doesn't allow it to happen. So this is a time of year to supplement with vitamin D. Vitamin D is important for your immune system function. It helps to strengthen the villi in the tight junctions in the small intestines when people talk about leaky gut. It helps absorb calcium from the GI tract into the blood. And it helps to reduce autoimmune disease. And it's also a steroid hormone. It controls the expression over 200 genes in the body. And when we talk about supplements for vitamin D, I just want to say that we didn't get to supplements yet, but when we do, the body is a symphony, not a solo. And vitamin D also means D3, K2, like all these things are needed together, magnesium, to help the body absorb. Okay, quercetin calms the immune system to reduce or prevent histamine release. It's known for its antioxidant activity. It decreases in pro-inflammatory cytokines. It's an antioxidant. So basically what I want to say is it's being researched for circulation and cardiovascular health. The polyphenols in it help determine the plant's color. So a bright yellow. So that's why the green apples, and you see the yellow, and these are red onions, that's quercetin. So people are like, what's so great about onions? Well, that's why it has quercetin in it. It's really healthy. And quercetin is often combined with bromelain, which is an extract from pineapples. And that also helps with seasonal allergies. Okay, let's talk a little bit about supplements. So there's no such thing as a pill for an ill, right? You can't just take a pill and fix it. You need to have the foundation of health: diet, exercise, hydration, sleep. All those things together create health, not necessarily taking a supplement or a drug. Nothing is going to fix you if you don't have those foundations. But there are a lot of reasons why you might not get nutrition that your body actually needs from your regular diet. And that's because we eat a lot of processed foods. We have a lot of processed foods in our diet. And these processed foods don't give us the nutrients we need. They sometimes damage the body or other nutrients. And think of it like a whole apple has more nutrients than applesauce, and applesauce has more nutrients than apple juice. A whole potato is going to have more nutrients than French fries. See what I'm saying here? So the whole food has more than the sum of its parts. We have insufficient dietary variety. I'm guilty of this myself. When you go to the supermarket, do you buy the same thing every time, or do you go for that one new fruit or vegetable every week? Like, think about what's on your shopping list. Is it the same thing every week? Well, I challenge you to try one new fruit or vegetable every week. When was the last time you had a kiwi? When was the last time you had a pomegranate? When was the last time you tried a jackfruit? When was the last time you ate coconut? Like, try something different. Because in a bottle of multivitamin, there might be 30 minerals and vitamins. But in a kiwi or a pomegranate, there are thousands of micronutrients. And your body knows how to use them. The other thing about supplements that I want to say is they're not all the same quality. The pills come in different forms, and you can easily malabsorb them. So if a vitamin pill comes in a capsule, it's much more easily opened and absorbed into the body, whereas if it comes in like a packed capsule, sometimes it gets excreted from the body without being broken down and absorbed.
You mean a tablet?
Yeah, thank you. I did mean a tablet. Thank you. Sometimes my expressive language doesn't come. Thank you. A tablet. Sometimes it's really expensive pills that, sometimes you can pour a beer in the toilet and save a step.
Can you give us a list of supplement companies that have
Yeah, if you email me. I have a dispensary that I use when I work with my clients. It's called Full Scripts. I'm sure you've heard of it. And I recommend certain supplements, but everybody's different. One CoQ10 might work for somebody, whereas one might not work for somebody else because it might have something else. Like a CoQ10 could have flaxseed in it, or like a calcium there are like 5 or 6 different forms of calcium. Some are absorbed differently. Depends what you're working on. So those are some of the things I talk to my clients about. Magnesium is needed to absorb vitamin D. So if you're not replete in magnesium, you're not going to absorb the vitamin D that you're taking. And you might have symptoms of magnesium deficiency, like sore muscles or headaches. So I can do a supplement review. I offer a free 30-minute discovery session to anybody who wants to have a conversation with me about their personal. And beside the free 30-minute discovery session, I also offer a supplement review. Because a lot of people have questions about, am I taking the right supplements? And those doctors aren't trained in nutrition. They know what drugs you should take. It's good because it's food-based, but I don't know why you're taking it and what your other symptoms are. So for the people who are watching the video, the question was, what is your name? Marie is taking kimchi for a probiotic. And kimchi is a fermented food, which is great for the immune system, for the gut. It helps from a probiotic perspective. And it's great that it's a food. That's phenomenal. But I don't know why you feel like you need a probiotic. Some people need one, some people don't. And it may or may not be enough. A lot of people eat yogurt, and there's really not a lot of probiotic. You have to eat like a lot of yogurt, and there's also a lot of sugar in yogurt.
there's a probiotic?
In my opinion, no, but everybody's different. So yeah, it's great that you're eating kimchi, but I don't know the rest of your diet. Sauerkraut is good if it doesn't have vinegar in it. If it does, if sauerkraut has vinegar in it, it's not fermented. The reason you're eating the kimchi is because it's fermented, right? That makes sense. Okay.
I thought all sauerkraut was fermented.
No, the kind that you buy in the refrigerated section of Whole Foods is fermented, but the kind that you buy in the can in the regular aisle of whatever supermarket, that's going to have vinegar in it to help kill anything that ferments. It's not going to be.
Vinegar.
No, vinegar is going to kill any of the bacteria. All right. Let's go on to exercise. What do you guys do for exercise? Yoga. That's great. Yoga, walking, Pilates, Zumba. That's awesome. Exercise is really important. It's one of the foundations of health, and it promotes circulation, which allows cells to move freely through the body. It reduces stress, inflammation, and it can strengthen antibodies. So doing something physical helps your mind and body out of that fight or flight mode, right? We go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and that's the sympathetic dominance. So we want to help our body go into parasympathetic dominance. And when you're exercising, you might not be in parasympathetic dominance because you're not resting, but yoga helps with breathing. It is a practice, and it may help to calm your mind. So that is good exercise, but you also need to balance, just like you need to balance everything else with the body, you need to balance exercise. So there are mind-body exercises like yoga, Pilates, or Tai Chi. There are structured exercises like cardio, interval training, or strengthening exercises. And there are unstructured exercises like yard work, shoveling, I know, depending on what time of year it is, washing the car, scraping ice, gardening. Gardening can be exercise, right? If you're putting dirt or you don't need any equipment and you get outside, most likely you're outside if you're interval walking, unless you're on a treadmill or a Stairmaster or an elliptical. I love to walk. You know why? Because I can walk with a friend, and it's kind of like therapy at the same time, right? You're walking, you're breathing, you're outside in nature. These are all healthy things, but you're also talking about what your thoughts are to a trusted friend. Absolutely. Music, if you have your headphones and you're walking with music, there's a beat going on, and you're in some type of environment in your head, you're letting go of what's going on in your world, the stress that's going on in the world. Can be a lot of it. Some people listen to podcasts. I think music is better. There's like that beat that goes on. Whether it's relaxing music or upbeat music, it just puts you in a different frame of mind. Absolutely. That was a good one. I'm sorry? Walk at home exercises. Some people have like that Peloton app, and they can do they do it at home. It was great during COVID, right? I have a friend who has a Peloton with the Peloton app, and she does yoga.
My daughter does that.
Your daughter does that. Yeah, you can do yoga, Peloton, bicycling, treadmill, like different, things. And you just turn on whatever it is. There are YouTube channels. Everybody's trying to get people involved. Yeah, that's great. So to get yourself moving, I just want to talk about SMART goals. SMART goals are small, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So just like you asked, how long should you breathe? Your body never forgets to breathe, but when you're paying attention to it, if you want to do the same thing with exercise, if you're not exercising, just start small. Maybe you just do it 10 minutes a day, and maybe then you do 15 minutes, increasing gradually. Give yourself a break, right? It's that 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, do the right thing, and 20% of the time, remember that you're human. Remember you're human all the time. The 80-20 rule, 80% of the time, do what you're supposed to do, and 20% of the time, give yourself a break. And then balance your routine so it doesn't get boring. It's great that you do yoga, that you do interval training. Try something different. Like when I belong to a gym that has classes, and I have yet to take a Zumba class. You guys can challenge me if you want. But I've done yoga, Pilates, there's like a HIIT where it's high intensity. And sometimes going on a treadmill or something, even if it's just for 10 minutes, or weight training, make an appointment with a personal trainer just to do something different. Learn something new, buy 2-pound weights and just something different. Because just like your body needs balance, your routine needs balance too. Sometimes we get stuck in a rut, in a groove. Sleep is affected by light and something called circadian rhythm. So this time of year, our body clock changes a little bit because it's dark more often than it is light. We're not in Alaska, but I think we do get affected by how much light there is during the day. I think it affects our mood too. But you want to create a bedtime routine, and you want the body to, you want to signal the body to wind down so that it creates that melatonin, right? We go from amino acids to 5-HTP, serotonin, melatonin. There's a process that the amino acids have to go through to create that melatonin. And you have to signal the body to do it. So you definitely want to put away any gadgets that you have, like your phone. I mean, I know I'm talking to you guys, not my 18-year-old, who has a much harder time putting down her phone because it's very addicting. But definitely avoid electronics at least 30 to 60 minutes before bed, preferably 2 hours. And avoid large meals. Do relaxing activities. Folding laundry is a great way to wind down because you're like touching things. It's tactile. Meditating. A hot bath with Epsom salt is great because Epsom salt has magnesium in it. That relaxes the body. It helps to absorb that magnesium. Reading, meditating, stretching are all really good. And adequate hydration. The immune system is dependent on nutrients in our bloodstream. And staying well hydrated is very important for detox pathways. If you're dehydrated, it can cause muscle tension, headaches, low serotonin production, so you won't sleep as well. And they can cause digestive issues. So the rule of thumb is whatever your body weight is, like if you weigh 150 pounds, divide that in half. That's how many ounces of water you should drink a day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you should drink 75 ounces of water a day. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you should drink 50 ounces of water. Typically about 2 liters of water a day you should drink. And it should be filtered water. And a lot of people need electrolytes. You can be dehydrated and drink a lot of water. You could drink 3 liters of water a day and still be dehydrated. And I've been trained to look at lab work, and I can look at like the CBC, which is a complete blood count. I can look at the red blood cells, hemoglobin, and hematocrit, and if they're high, that means there's not a lot of fluid in the body. It means there's a lot of red blood cells and not a lot of fluid. Like I've been trained to look at things from a functional lens. And it's interesting. A lot of people say, oh, I drink a lot of water every day, and they're still dehydrated. So these are things I work on with my clients. And sometimes people are on a low salt diet and they need salt to absorb the water. Because salt is one of the electrolytes. And it's important to filter water. Water can have halogens in it, right? If people swim, they swim in chlorine. Chlorine's a halogen. Halogens affect your thyroid and cause inflammation. So there's a lot of things that we can do. We can filter our water to make sure it doesn't have things in it that it shouldn't have. All right. Those were my major points. Does anybody have something that they think was the most important thing they learned today? What was your key takeaway? Yeah? That's a good one. I have a client I'm going to work with in about 2 weeks. That's like her big thing. She wants to go through all her supplements and figure out which ones are working and which ones are not working for her. I thank you so much for being here today. I will stick around if you guys have any questions. You have no obligation at all, but I put together like a workshop feedback form. If anybody would like to fill one out, that'd be great. No obligation. I also have business cards here, and I offer a free 30-minute discovery session. If you guys want to chat with me, just schedule something. Thank you for all your participation.